Today I am speaking with Egypt Krohn at the Hunter Park Gardenhouse.
My name's Egypt Krohn. I'm the Hunter Park Gardenhouse Director for Allen Neighborhood Center. We're here in Hunter Park. Our facility is a farm and gardening education center. Our overarching mission is to improve community food sovereignty and general health and wellness, particularly on Lansing's east side, but in the general Michigan community. And we aim to do that mostly through education and engagement and helping our neighbors learn how to grow food for themselves. And then in recent years, we've been really working to incorporate ecological restoration and working with more native plants and native food crops into that work. So we run a 1-acre demonstration farm. About half of the site is a kind of traditional production-focused urban farm. We grow food that we distribute through a multi-grower CSA that Allen Neighborhood Center runs. We also run a half-acre free-to-all U-Pick community garden. So any of the growing beds in Hunter Park along the walking trail outside of the fence, any food in that space is free for anyone to take at any time. We've got perennial herbs, we've got fruit trees, and then a wide array of annual vegetables there. And then we grow a handful of crops on a more production scale. We are standing right now in our native plant demonstration garden. So we have a couple dozen species of native perennial flowers here, along with signage, and then a free native seed library that we started this year. So our hope is to help our neighbors naturalize lawns and growing spaces in the residential community here, with the aim of increasing beauty, ecological abundance. Many of these species are useful for food or medicine or fiber, and just have a whole host of different benefits. One thing that is important here in Lansing, which is kind of built on the intersection of several rivers and bodies of water, and traditionally would be flooded much of the year, is water management. And a lot of these plants have very, very deep roots and can help collect a lot of water and divert it into the soil rather than into our storm sewers, which can improve watershed health and reduce flooding, which is an important issue here, particularly on the east side where one of our larger residential floodplains is focused. Yeah, that's the basics.
Egypt, I've noticed you have a lot of signage that reflects our native language here in Michigan. Could you talk a little bit about, for people that are decolonizing our yards, what does this mean and how is your program helping our communities?
So we have been really lucky to be able to collaborate increasingly over the last year and a half with a neighboring organization called Giitigan. They're an Anishinaabe community garden here on the east side, who has a very similar mission to us, working on reclaiming traditional food crops and working on education around food and farming systems. One of the projects that we've been trying to launch this year is a Anishinaabe language project, introducing signage reflecting plants' indigenous names here into the park. And I am just beginning to learn the most remote basics about the language myself, so I don't have my pronunciation down. I am very much the barest beginner, but we've been really grateful for the partnership of our neighbors in starting on this path, and would really like to help share this beautiful language and share the knowledge that is so vital to the indigenous people here.
So you and John have been supplying a lot of plants for people that use the plants in our traditional medicines or diets. Like we were talking earlier about a sassafras tree,
Yes.
and that is one of the trees that are crucial to a lot of native diets in Michigan and medicines. Let's let the truck pass by. This is definitely an urban garden and there's a bit of noise. But you have a couple of resources that you both use to provide some of these plants that people can use to decolonize their yards. And could you talk a little bit about those programs?
Sure. So we work heavily with Wild Type Native Plant Nursery in Mason. They're a really great nursery that grows, I think, over 300 species of native plants. So that's where we source most of the native plants that we work with. And we've been able to partner with them both through my job and then through my husband's job with the land bank to find ways to bring those plants into town and make them accessible to residents, because they are primarily a wholesale nursery through a few different programs. So one of them, which my husband helps manage, is a program through the city of Lansing called Neighborhoods in Bloom. This is a really great program that provides free flower kits to community and neighborhood organizations throughout the city of Lansing. When this program was restarted a few years ago, someone in the office, actually Andy Crawford, had the vision to reach out to us and say, why don't we include native plants in these kits? So we're really happy that she made that call and that we've been able to work with their office. My husband really has been able to work with
Oh, that's wonderful.
their office.
Yeah.
And every year thousands of native plants get planted throughout the city of Lansing for free through this Neighborhoods in Bloom program.
How would they contact you, a neighborhood, if they wanted some native plants from this program?
So they would go to the City of Lansing's website, to the Office of Neighborhood and Citizen Engagement. I might have mixed that up a little bit.
Yeah, something like that.
But they, forgive me, it's been a long week. They have a application that usually goes up in late fall or midwinter for kits. It is usually an application. The application is usually due by the beginning of February. So you have to apply
okay.
fast.
So there's a timeline to keep watch out for. Okay.
Yep. And then it is meant for public spaces, not personal yards. But that might be, the area around a light post on the street corner, or it might be around a neighborhood sign, or it might be in a park. It's anywhere that's fairly public and is going to be viewed by multiple people in the neighborhood.
I see.
And if you are not an already registered neighborhood organization, there's a lot of resources on their website or through their office as to how to register, or you can work with a larger organization such as Allen Neighborhood Center to kind of collaborate on that. So those are some options if you don't have a already formed group.
That's great. There's so many ways we can change our landscapes and make them both like drought tolerant and also reduce our rainfall overflow into our waterways and divert them back into the ground. And this is you're playing such an important role in doing all that. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and also for sharing your garden here and incorporating the Anishinaabe community into the garden so that we may relearn our language. A lot of us have lost our cultural ties to our heritage, and we have to go through a decolonization process, and that does mean relearning our language and our traditions. And again, Egypt, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So check out Egypt and John and the Hunter Park Garden here. You'll check out their Facebook page, and I'm sure they post a lot of events. And seed collecting was one aspect of that they're going to be ramping up. And you need volunteers for that,
We
right?
always need volunteers. We
Okay.
need volunteers for all things.
All right.
But yeah, if anyone is interested in learning more about native plants, we could really use some volunteers to help us with seed collecting and seed sorting and bagging so that we can restock our seed library. We were blown away. We started off with 600 seed packets of over 20 species in early June, and our inventory was wiped out within a month.
Oh my goodness.
So I was blown away pleasantly by the reception that our seed library had, and we're just working on doing the best we can to take advantage of the seeds being produced in this garden and in my personal garden at home,
Yes.
and get that restocked so we can keep spreading these plants.
So we need, there's a beautiful swallowtail landing on some
Yeah.
coneflowers here, but this is exactly why you and I are committed to these gardens. They just introduce so much beauty and
It's
joy
true.
in our day-to-day lives.
There's so many butterflies, so many interesting insects. The goldfinches have this beautiful ability to sense when a seed crop comes in. We don't normally only see goldfinches in the fall in this park when our cup plant is in seed, but they knew when my coreopsis, which is a more early blooming, really pretty yellow flower, they love those seeds. And when those were at their prime, there was a whole flock of goldfinches in here mid-spring when we don't normally see them. So
Yeah.
if you plant it, they will come.
Yes, the goldfinches, I don't know if anybody has seen them. Well, you definitely can hear them. They have a beautiful warble and they're very distinct. But yes, this is another benefit to planting native, is just the pure beauty and joy of your yard. All right, Egypt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish to thank Egypt, Krohn, and Giitigan and the Hunter Park Gardenhouse for the numerous programs they facilitate in our community. Check them out and volunteer for their seed collecting program.